So I got enough hooked up that I can get online, and while we're getting started, I'm going to plug in the power so it doesn't, run out of juice in the middle of the stream.
Nice.
Right.
So, sorry I'm not a little bit early.
That's okay. Like I said, we're mostly just covering this stuff anyway, so let's see, is there the dashboard?
So I don't end up knocking my camera over, just in case.
Oh.
You know what? This will be easier. Sitting over here, like, minimizing all my work screens. I'm like, I could just lock the computer.
Right. Hey.
The other
and
machine.
We're on now. Okay. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first game time of 2023. It's great to see people here. We're just going to get everything going. I'm getting ready to run a sound check and open up the chat window. So let's see here. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2.
Check. Chickadee check. Check.
Howdy ho, good neighbors.
Check.
Howdy ho, good neighbors.
Sounds good. All right. Hey, and let's open up the chat window so that we can see if anybody comes in to talk with us. For those who don't know, we are Game Time. We are here every Tuesday from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Central Standard Time here in the Ozarks, where we cover anything and everything going on in the nerdosphere. And we're doing our 2022 recap show this week. Basically, instead of our normal topics and everything, we are going to actually recap kind of the highlights of last year, the highs, the lows, the movies, the shows, and then maybe talk about what we're hoping for 2023. And then next week we'll go back to our normal show format where we go through some new topics and everything. If we have a little time at the end, we might add a couple of other new things into the mix. But before we get started, how's your past couple of weeks been in gaming there, Angel? And nerddom?
Last couple of weeks in gaming and nerddom?
Yeah.
Are you talking about news-wise or just what's going on with you personally?
What's been going on with you personally? Remember, we started doing that,
Oh, right, yeah. I guess I didn't show, but I really should. So I made a GM screen, wood burned it, made of wood, it's amazing. Well, following that, I made a pretty big project, which was building a very large, hefty table that could fit a 55-inch television so that I could get a virtual tabletop at our games while we're all there physically.
Right.
And after I made it, right, I got everything. It was great, fucking great. I started looking for virtual tabletops for people to play in, and I realized it doesn't fucking really work well. I don't, it was like the learning curve of the technicalities of all of the fucking virtual tabletops was like too complicated for what I wanted to do. So I was like, I'll just make my own. So I've been spending this entire year building my own virtual tabletop, and it is functional. We were able to use it in our last game.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
It's slick.
Virtual tabletops are an interesting thing. Back in 4th edition Dungeons and Dragons, Wizards tried to say they were going to bring out a virtual tabletop, and then they gave up on that and just went and put their backing behind Roll20.net because they just really, it was more work than they could put into it. But now again with the D&D 1, they're trying again to go the virtual tabletop route themselves. So there's always people trying to do it. Fantasy Grounds and Roll20 are the two big ones that make the abilities for RPGs.
My hope for my virtual tabletop for it to have a lot of options, but not to have an over encumbered UI. My goal is I shouldn't have to have a tutorial and expect people to spend 3 to 5 hours, which is the learning curve for Roll20, to even get into the basics of their virtual tabletop. My hope is someone's able to go into my virtual tabletop. It offers the basic amenities, and they're able to immediately and reasonably figure out what all the buttons do. That's kind of like my goal for this. That's my niche that I'm trying to fill. Is making it as simple as possible.
You want a turnkey so someone can come in and immediately start doing it.
I really want it. I really do. I want to be able to walk in and be like, oh, this feels super intuitive. Like that's really my goal, and I haven't seen that. I have tried out 7 different. I even bought 2 virtual tabletops that I thought was like a good idea. I bought them for use, and they still didn't fit my needs, which was crazy. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just do this thing and make it So yeah, we've been successfully able to move around. So I'm probably going to be spending the year tweaking it, adding stuff. My next big project involving it is client-to-host features, because right now it's just a local thing on my computer that we're able to utilize. Yeah, so that's and then something new is cross your fingers. And if anyone's watching that would love to support us, me and my family who wants to start it, is a local food truck. We're hoping to get a seed money for a food truck to start providing breakfast, because we realized that no one in Springfield offers breakfast in a food truck yet.
Hey, that's a good market.
So it'll be a breakfast. It'll be a panini. It'll be a panini for lunch, and grilled cheese. Obviously paninis and grilled cheese. But we also will be serving breakfast burritos and tomato soup.
And a panini press.
And so I feel like
panini press can make a good toasted breakfast burrito. Actually,
they can. They absolutely can.
Yeah, you could, because you fold your burrito, then throw it in the panini press at the end. You get that nice toastiness all the way around the outside, and it melts all the cheese. It's really good.
Oh yeah. And so we're hoping to start bringing breakfast to a soon to be colder Springfield.
Right. And you could hit a couple of the office parks and stuff around the area, and you could probably do really good.
Oh yeah.
And food trucks are the way, man. Nowadays, less and less new restaurateurs are going into the brick and mortar. They're doing the food truck first, and then at least checking their viability.
Yeah, I mean, there's such wildly different markets that it being them having a food truck is it's almost hard to break into a brick and mortar, and you almost don't want to.
Well,
some food trucks, like in some of the bigger cities, probably not Springfield, but some of the food trucks are making like $250,000 a year.
Well, I'll tell you, in marketing, when you go to propose a restaurant, unlike other businesses, they tell you need to be prepared to operate in the red for 5 years in a restaurant. It's only 2 years with most other businesses, but 5 years of preparation to operate possibly in the red, because it can take that long before you hit your break-even point.
For a food truck, it's a little different. Yeah. The break-even point is about a year and a half.
Yes, but like I said, most brick and mortar places, it's 5 years, which is why the food truck is a much more viable option. You get lower initial overhead, and it's a much faster paced moving environment. If one area is not good, you move the truck,
Yeah.
And you go and you find your clientele, and it helps.
It is really convenient, and have any like angel investors out there who's just like, I'd like to invest in angels, that would be great.
If I could, I would. And Schmoman is here. Where's old mate driving to? Well, he'll be driving mainly in Springfield, Missouri, is what we're talking about. Schmoman. He's not going to make it to Australia, unfortunately. Schmoman's one of my buddies from Australia that used to watch when I streamed Old School RuneScape, and he just popped in. Old School RuneScape's really big in Australia and New Zealand, so I had a lot of Australian New Zealanders back when I did that.
Oh, I imagine, especially if you play late at night.
Oh, yeah, I played overnight most of the time. Anyway, we're going to move on to Lurch. So how's your past couple of weeks been?
Mine has been a little bit different. I got a Steam Deck.
Yeah.
So on the positive side of things, I got a Steam Deck, and it's been really cool. I got this new state-of-the-art technology so I can play games from the 80s and one game from the 90s. I haven't done any emulation on it, but I've been Steam has like 50,000 games in their backlog.
Right.
And so there's plenty to pick from.
Speaking of Steam, before we started today, I was playing a little bit of 7 Days to Die on Steam, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. And so they've got, I played the original Half-Life game, finally. I never played it before.
You got the full Valve bundle, didn't you, during the Christmas sale?
I already owned Half-Life, because I needed... So the reason I started a Steam account 14 years ago was because of a class I was taking in college of video game design. And we were using a tool called the Hammer Editor in that class, making like Counter-Strike maps.
Right.
And I bought a few Valve games because you could get the assets if you bought them in your Counter-Strike maps and whatever. And so I bought like Half-Life and Portal and a couple of other odds and ends, so I could like have portal guns and machine guns and little monsters and things like that. So like some of the stuff I was interacting with while playing the Half-Life game, I recognized from tools I had for making levels for Counter-Strike back in college. It was actually kind of funny whenever I got my Steam Deck set up and I got logged in, and it showed me that my account was open 14 years ago. I've got 3 friends, and I got the Valve games because I had them for the assets, and a few VR games because I was able to play PC VR, and that was like my entire Steam library. But now that I got the Steam Deck, I actually played Half-Life because I don't like doing keyboard and mouse and stuff like that. I played, and I don't like sitting at my desk to play games. So I was able to really easily sync a PS5 controller to it and can play most games on it through the PS5 controller.
Nice.
It even uses the touchpad, which you can configure to do different actions based on different swipe directions and clicks and taps on the touchpad on the PS5 controller. Which is really slick. Yeah, it's pretty slick. It gives you a lot of extra flexibility.
Yeah, I will say our 17-year-old went ahead and got the Valve bundle through Steam, and me and Allison both got the Portal bundle, just the 2 Portal games, when they were on sale. That was a heck of a sale they had going on at the end of the year.
Yeah. And so, it's been a pretty great experience. I've been able to, I'll say the Half-Life game itself, it's a 1998 game, and it's a really early first-person shooter. It's a little bit clunky, but an overall pretty great game. I imagine it was pretty amazing in '98, and so I had a good time with it, even if I occasionally got mad because I accidentally flung myself off the ladder. 90% of my deaths were falling, and 90% of those were falling off ladders.
Right. That's kind of funny because I've been playing.
That's hilarious.
I said I've been playing 7 Days to Die, and I have a tendency to fall underneath our horde base a few times. And it sucks if you fall underneath the base because after one of our horde nights, I went down there and put some candles up just so you could see to find your way out. Because
Yeah.
it was like once you fell, you were dead because you couldn't find your way out.
Oh man. And then I played the original. I also bought the Final Fantasy Pixel Remaster Collection, which is the first 6 Final Fantasy games all in one, like with like remastered versions. So they got some better visuals, a few bug fixes, whatever. I never played any of the first 6 games. I've already beat the first one. I'm now working on the second game. I'm like 8 hours into the second game. So like the first game was fantastic. The second one's going really well so far. I'm really liking these games. On one hand, I kind of wish I'd played them sooner. On the other hand, these are kind of being reviewed as like the best versions of these games. So I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of glad I'm playing them today because they're great, and these are great versions. And I love that. I got a dock, so at home I can use my PS5 controller and play my Final Fantasy game on the TV. Then when I'm not home, I can use it in handheld mode, which I'm very fortunate that I have the Steam Deck and I happened to get it in the timing I did because I got stuck in Kansas City for most of a week. And so I played it a bunch in handheld mode while I was up there. My girlfriend, my girlfriend Squirrel, she got hospitalized for like 8 days. I was with her for 5 of the 8 days, but in the middle I had to come home for my own health reasons, but then went back up. And then so I'm glad I bought it when I did because it was delivered just days before we got stuck up there. So I was lucky to have this nice new gaming hardware to keep me entertained while stuck and snowed in.
And snowed in,
Yeah, and you wouldn't be able to survive with the Switch off of the dock, I don't think.
Yeah.
I mean, I can play games on it, but
how long is the battery life on the Switch?
For me, I have big hands. You have bigger hands than I do. I have big hands. Yeah. For me, the Switch controls, as they are, like just holding them, is too small.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Fortunately, my brother got me as a gift. I think it was I think it was my last birthday. My brother got me as a gift these new controllers that you attach to the side that have like a Mega Man design that are a little bigger, that are more comfortable for my hands.
I remember seeing those. God, I was so jealous that you got those. It looked so fucking badass.
Yeah, they look cool. They don't have the super rumble thing, but they're much more comfortable for longer gaming sessions than the regular thing. Not quite as compact as it would be with regular controllers, but I mean, I needed something that I can travel with. Those are easy to travel with. So I would have been able to use that, but having something new that's got me all kinds of new things to play around with was really cool. I don't know, I guess I'd be playing more Pokemon or Sonic if I took the Switch with me.
You haven't beat this new Sonic game, have you?
I haven't played the newest one yet, no. I bought it for PS5, so I wouldn't have been able to play it while I was up there.
There's also
unless I wanted to buy a second copy.
There's also
you would have been playing Sonic Mania, I think.
Yeah, I do have Sonic Mania on the Steam or on the Switch, and I played that quite a bit.
Sonic Prime just premiered on one of the streaming services too.
Oh yeah, the new show. I hope it's good. I haven't had a chance to watch it.
It is fun. I have been watching it.
Yeah.
I've been watching it with my daughter. It's got a lot of weirdly adult jokes in it, which I really enjoy. For a TVY7, it gets kind of dark. Like characters die. It's kind of
that's not
depending on the universe. Depending on the universe that Sonic is like traveling to, like his best friends might be gone. It's kind of dark.
Dang, yeah. Anyway, as far as that means, Lurch kind of leveled up his gaming yet again, and he's like already a level 200 console gamer. I mean,
I kind of see the Steam Deck as a
console PC
a console, even though technically it's a handheld PC, but I kind of treat it like a console that's modifiable.
PC hybrid.
Yeah. Something else I've just recently done, I haven't got to read the benefits of it yet. I did sign up for this thing. I don't know if it's going to be any good, but I signed up for this little subscription service where every month I get 4 retro games delivered to my house. Like 4 random retro games delivered to my house.
Talk about a service for
That's so
you.
fucking cool.
Talk about a
So
service
I
made
normally
for you, man.
Yeah, like I've done things in the past. Like I've had Loot Crate in the past, but I didn't really care for it much because it's just like a bunch of like little random things, like a figure for a TV show I don't watch, T-shirt for a movie I don't like.
Yeah,
a billion different. Even if you like it, who's gonna use that many bottle openers?
yeah.
I have a Captain America Shield bottle opener. I have a Predator bottle opener. I have a Mega Man Buster cannon bottle opener. Like, what am I doing with those? From
They
why does
think we're
every
all
Loot Crate have
drinkers,
to have a
yeah.
bottle opener?
You need as many bottle openers as you can get.
Most bottles are twist cap now.
Yeah. I will say, like, I only kept one of the bottle openers that I got from Loot Crate. Loot Crate ended up being the thing I used to receive things that I keep, like, one item a month and then gave everything else away to people because I didn't have a use of it or whatever.
You did that to me, yeah.
Well, I took it
and
put it in the leave and take table at the picnic.
But so funny story though. The one thing I did keep, or one of the things I did keep, the only bottle opener I kept was the Batman one because it's fucking Batman, right? And I hung it up. I have it hanging up in my kitchen, like behind the stove, just to kind of be cool. Well, Allie Squirrel, she found some new drinks that she liked. I think it was some kind of a ginger beer that's in a glass bottle that requires a bottle opener to open, and for like 2 weeks, we just dealt with, having to get them open with like a screwdriver or something until finally we ordered or purchased an actual bottle opener. Then about an hour after she uses the new bottle opener she bought for the first time, she's standing in the kitchen and like yells my name, and I come in and she just points at the the bat-shaped bottle opener that's hanging on the stove. I was like, I knew I had a bottle opener somewhere.
Even when it could have been useful.
You're on water again.
Serious.
Yeah. I had Loot Crate too for a while, and I got so sick of it that I switched it to just the T-shirt version. But then even that was sucked, so I dropped it. I mean, some of these subscription services are great, and some of them are not so great. But it sounds like you found one that was made for you.
Yeah, so that's kind of the thing is I was getting at is like, so I'm really picky on the things I like, but something I'm not too picky on is more video games.
Right.
And so that's one of the few things out there where I'm just be like, yeah, I like more games.
Just like
there's a subscription service. Oh, sorry.
Angel was posting about becoming a dice goblin or something. I think on Facebook at one point.
Dice Dragon, yeah.
Got to upgrade from Dice Goblin to Dice Dragon. Me personally, I think I reached Dice Galactus at one point.
So a Dice Goblin is someone who has more than 5 sets of dice.
Mm-hmm.
A Dice Dragon is someone who has over 100 sets of dice, and one comically large dice that is impractical to use during gameplay.
Right. Well, at one point I had 2 Culligan bottles full of dice. One just D6s, the other with everything else in it. So I think I qualify as Galactus level.
You got me predated. What's a Culligan?
Culligan water bottles from like the water things, the great big 5-gallon bottles.
Oh,
I had 2 of those full of dice at one point.
Like at that point, you can't even reach the ground.
You're underwater again. Give it a second. But yeah, at one point I had 2 of those full. One was just D6s and the other one was everything else. And so yeah, but then I've been playing D&D for over 40 years, so I've had a lot of time to gather dice. I don't have that many anymore. I've just got two great big dice bags now.
How old were you when you first started playing D&D, Doc?
I got my first set of D&D and played that afternoon on the day of my 7th birthday. It was my 7th birthday present.
Wow.
That's early.
1978.
I didn't start until well, what year was that? I started like 8 years ago. I think it was the first time I played. It was when I was working at Best Pro Shops.
Right. Anyway,
the first time that I played was in 2010. A friend of mine, when I was a kid, and this is gonna sound so stupid, from whenever I was a little kid, right? Like whenever I was like 12 years old, I had a friend who played D&D, and he invited me to the D&D game. And I was gonna go. I was super excited. I made a character sheet, and then my brother came over to play the day before, and he saw my character sheet, and he's like, "Who is this? This seems like a nerd thing. Are you into nerdy things?" And I'm like, "No," and I canceled the play date. So I would have been playing a lot earlier had I not cared so much about what my brother
If you had not stood up for your nerd rules thing back then, yeah. Now nerd is cool.
To be clear, this is my oldest brother, not my youngest brother.
Anyway, moving on. I have been sick the last little over a week. Personally, a little bit of congestion in the chest. In fact, that's why we didn't have a show last week. So, but other than that, I've been playing a whole lot of 7 Days to Die with my guild from Fractured Online. So my sister and a couple of friends. We've been experimenting with building horde bases and killing zombies and stuff. So that's been the main thing we've been doing. We're working to try to get our business up and running a little bit more. Our LLC is going to be situated this year, which involves our editing and proofreading business, as well as Allison's handicrafting with making the dice bags and Doctor Who scarves and things like that. We're going to try to go to at least one fair, event, convention, or whatever every quarter with our stuff. So, and I think the next one we have scheduled is in March or something like that. There's a metaphysical fair here in town that we're going to try to do. And I will probably be doing Celtic rune readings, and Allison will probably be doing tarot card readings there.
Wow.
As part of it. So that's the big stuff we've got going on. Allison is, of course, working on her goal journals and motivational things around the house. The two new kitties are getting big. The male is almost as big as the adult older cat we have. So the older cat's swiping at him a little bit less now, because if he starts swiping back, the older cat might actually get hurt.
That's funny. I'm surprised that I didn't know that Allison did tarot card reading.
Oh yeah, she loves tarot. In fact, one of the Kickstarters that we covered on the show before you joined was a literary tarot card set. It had stuff like from Alice in Wonderland and things like that, themed cards, and she ordered it. She's waiting to get it too, because she loves tarot cards.
It's really funny because I'm a huge fan of tarot cards as well. Tarot card collection is one of the biggest collections that I have in the house. I have like 36 tarot card decks.
Nice.
I collect all kinds. I also do sexual health tarot readings. I have done them on the internet for pay. I don't know if I'm willing to commit to that ever, but I've done those.
Yeah.
So that's pretty great. I do need to preface that by saying I do all of the rituals necessary to make the readings as legitimate as possible, and I use all of the techniques that tarot card readers use
Right.
in their tarot, but I don't necessarily believe in it. But I think that the power it gives to people who do is
well,
great.
interesting
So
trivia.
it's like,
A couple interesting trivia.
I'll just bite my tongue on it.
For one,
well, I mean, like the placebo effect is what I meant.
yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, the power of belief.
Well, here's some interesting history on the tarot cards. A lot of people don't realize, but the tarot cards were originally developed as a communications tool to help translate when the tribes of the original gypsy tribes would travel and they'd reach areas that they'd spoke another language, but each of the cards basically gives it a reflection of a common concept, so they could use the cards in order to interact with people that they didn't share a language with. So that's what their original purpose was before anything else. And then it grew to the soothsaying and some of the other things. And I, at one point, was actually going to do my own custom drawn tarot decks. But I never did get around to actually making more than one or two cards. But yeah, tarot cards were originally used as just a translation device, so there was nothing metaphysical about them initially. They just got concepts across to people who didn't share a language.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So they've got a practical use.
Weird how things have changed over the years.
Oh yeah, things just get.
So, I guess like if they want to convey to the other person that they want to kill them, they show them the death card, right?
Although in actual tarot tradition, the death card represents change, not necessarily death.
Yeah, but I don't know how well that translates from one language to another in different cultures when you're showing them an image of death.
Yeah. I'm trying to imagine a tarot deck being used for communication, and not even tarot card readers can agree on what any given card means at any given time. So it just really feels like, I mean, honestly, being someone who's giving readings is very much like being a DM. You are interpreting things all the time.
Yeah.
On the
when
fly.
you interpret runes, when you do I Ching, whenever you do any of that, yeah. I mean, even something as relatively straightforward as numerology is subject to the interpretation of the reader.
I mean, you're talking about for a translation service,
right.
for the cards in order to translation.
Right.
Both parties need to already know what the cards mean.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that just seems way more complicated, honestly, than having a translator.
Yeah, I mean, I think it has to be like more generic. You know, you have an image of a field being plowed. This means you're harvesting or something.
Remember that the original tarot decks weren't as extensive. The pictures were much simpler.
Okay. Actually, now that you mentioned that, emojis work the same way as a tarot card system would, because if it's like we are harvesting, then you put you put the moon next to a field, and then boom, that means that it's time to harvest versus it's time to work, which would be the sun next to the field. So, like, you know what? Now that we're talking about it, it could be a pretty interesting universal translation.
Yeah, the emojis are the modern day.
Practically emojis.
Emojis are the modern day translation iconography.
Yeah, they're the modern hieroglyphics.
Yeah.
They are.
Humanity transitioned from cave paintings and hieroglyphics to fine writing back to hieroglyphics and cave paintings in the form of memes and emojis.
Yep.
And you know what? In a weird sense, it is much more efficient way of communicating an idea in a picture versus writing it down. Considerably.
Yeah. Picture's worth 1,000 words, they say.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's really fascinating how we've kind of come full circle.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, that was the whole point of like memes anyway, is to like infect someone else's mind with an idea.
Right.
That like memetics, you know. It's very interesting.
It's,
Which Richard Dawson, by the way, fun fact to anyone who doesn't know, Richard Dawson's the one who coined the term meme or memetic as an idea, and he did it for like to be next to and bookend genetics, which is like the genetic passing on of ideas, the mental passing on of ideas from person to person.
It's viral mnemonic programming.
You've got to play Metal Gear Solid 2 one of these days. It's about memes.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah. The core idea, like Kojima says, the creator of the game says, if you were to give the first, Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3 one word to describe them, the first word, the Metal Gear Solid is genes, Metal Gear Solid 2 is memes, and Metal Gear Solid 3 is scenes. And
I said Richard Dawson. I meant Richard Dawkins. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I think I heard. I wasn't sure if I heard you wrong or whatever, but yeah, Richard Dawkins, the evolutionary biologist.
Yep.
Smart guy.
The smart. I mean, God, like.
Wrote a good book.
Anyway.
Oh, he wrote a great book.
Bringing that around full circle, let's start talking about. Since we're talking about the past, let's talk about 2022. We had a heck of a year. It was ups, it was downs. There's so much going on. We lost a few great people: Jason David Frank, Ray Liotta, just to name a couple. We had so much going on. There's the big controversy with Ezra Miller and the Flash movie.
Will Smith slapped
Chris Rock.
Yeah. That feels like ages ago, dude.
The definitive proof of how paper beats rock.
Right. Right.
That's fucking great.
Yeah.
Man. So much fucking shit. Good movies came out. Multiverse of Madness was fucking. That came out this year, right?
Last year, yeah.
Or 2022?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a 2022.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, the last 2 years are blurring together a little bit.
And it's okay.
Yeah, they are.
Some stuff from 2021. It's okay. But Multiverse of Madness was a phenomenal movie. I have to say it was one of my favorites of the whole year.
The fact that it had the chin, tail to the chin, fucking amazing. Bruce Campbell, love you, fucking amazing.
Yeah, Pizza Pete.
It's Pizza Pete. He's which I don't want to go off too much, but I'm really excited for the new Evil Dead movie coming out. It looks terrifying.
That looks amazing, yeah.
It looks really good, yeah. I just saw a trailer on it a couple of days ago, I think.
They called it?
What's that?
Evil Dead Rises or something like that? I don't remember the...
Yeah,
I think so.
Evil Dead Rises.
Yeah.
That sounds right.
That looks amazing. So much has happened this year. Highlights for us, we had the last game was last year. The very last game, and we said at last time that this will be the last time we mention Game, because we went on about it a little bit, but Game finally had their swan song, which is bittersweet, especially for me and Lurch, because we've been on the board and everything for that for a few years. Lurch has been involved since year 2. So it's bittersweet. However, some of Game has been adopted by Geekmas. Some of the workers and stuff have moved on to work with Geekmas now, and they had the first 3-day Geekmas this last year, and it was a little slow, but again, it was the first one. But,
yeah, it was a good time. I had fun.
We actually, our booth did better at Geekmas than we had done at Game, several years. So we did really well. Wow. We made a profit and that's nice. Plus, of course, it was the layout was very similar to Game, so it was really kind of the spiritual successor to Game. Now the game's over with. It was in the same location. The layout, the henchman coordinator is the same. The electronic gaming coordinator, Lurch, is the same.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things that happened again. Conventions are starting to open back up again. Last year was the big year for that. We had San Diego Comic-Con was last year, and they had the big presentation for Marvel. There was what else did they have in gaming news? We had great shows premiered, like Sandman, phenomenal show. We covered that quite a bit. Well,
the prices of Xbox has been revealed to go up. That was a 2020.
The Wednesday TV show
when?
came out.
What? Xbox hasn't gone up in price.
Xbox games.
Oh, the games? Yeah, I guess the games went up in price just recently.
But Wednesday came out. Sandman came out.
Wednesday came out in 2021, didn't it?
No, Wednesday just came out a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Oh God, you're right.
Wow.
You're right. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I was like, we watched that in like December.
Yeah.
Like that was
Yeah, that came out. Just in November, I think, is when it came out.
All the days are just blurring together
right?
for me.
The Legends of Vox Machina cartoon came out in January of last year, which is the Critical Role.
It was a good cartoon. I enjoyed it.
Fantastic. I mean, you want
I look forward to never having to watch the actual plays.
So having to watch what?
I said I look forward to not actually having to watch the actual plays. The genre of watching someone play D&D live is called actual plays.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
So I look forward to not having to watch actual plays of Critical Role, that I can just watch the cartoon and have them tell me what's happening.
Right.
Get a good beat on it.
And it's such a good cartoon, and of course, because all the Critical Role players are voice actors, you have a phenomenal voice acting cast for the cartoon.
Yeah. Big news on that was that the Blue Dragonborn sorcerer in Critical Role, who was a part of that original campaign, was nixed. He is no longer there because of a lot of drama.
Right.
Where they didn't want him back, and also like the being creepy towards women on set, like during productions and whatnot. So he was a Blue Dragonborn sorcerer, and he was a part of the original Vox Machina team, but they completely nixed him in the cartoons.
Yeah, the character's name was Tiberius.
Yep, Tiberius. I tried watching Critical Role. I got 3 episodes in and was bored to death.
The best I can do is watch a highlight reel.
I was told that what I need to do is go to episode 27 and start there. And for Critical Role, because that's when their production value goes up and everybody kind of is feeling more comfortable with it. But I don't know if I'm willing to give them that time.
I like Critical Role, but sitting down for 4 hours at a time was a bit much.
I see. I'm in a valuable position where I could just put something on in the background, and since I don't really need to look at the screen, I could be listening to them, but it was putting me to sleep while I was driving. Dimension 20 is a series that doesn't put me to sleep. Brendan Lee Mulligan, I think, resonates with me as a DM more than he should. and I definitely have fallen in love with his DMing style.
There's one out there called Total Party Chill that's pretty good. Um,
Total Party Kill. That's the name of the show.
Party Chill, CHILL. Total Party Chill.
Total Party Chill.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Like I'm chilling.
Yeah, and a play on Total Party Kill, but it's Total Party Chill. There are a few of them out there that have been pretty good. I watched all of the first campaign and part of the second campaign for Critical Role. It got to be a little bit much, but obviously it's done wonders for Dungeons and Dragons. As we were talking about, Critical Role is probably one of the number one spearheading forces that has driven 5th edition into the hearts of everybody. I mean, oh my God.
It's true.
It's huge. Of all the other live play shows out there, Critical Role has had the most impact, I think. And it's something
I think that's a true statement. I think that's a great statement to say.
It is. It definitely is. And so much is happening right now. And if we have extra time at the end of the show, we'll talk a little bit about it, but we'll probably talk more next week. Stuff happening with the open gaming license and stuff, but we won't get into that right now. Let's see. There's a movie coming out soon in February called Cocaine Bear, and the reason I'm pointing it out in the 2022 recap is because it is the last movie that Ray Liotta did before he died. So,
can you remind me who Ray Liotta is?
I will put it picture up on the screen just a second.
Goodfellas.
I cannot see this screen.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. He was in Goodfellas. He was Tommy Vercetti in Grand Theft Auto Vice City. He was in.
Yeah, Vice City is my favorite video game of the Grand Theft Auto. Vice City and Vice City Stories. So
yeah, so that's Tommy. That's Ray Liotta. He's done a lot of movies where he's kind of playing as like a gangster type of role.
Same role in almost every movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then of course we talked about Jason David Frank died, and for those who don't know, if there's anybody out there, he was the original Green Power Ranger. Often considered the quintessential Power Ranger. He is the one that everybody thinks of as the flagship guy, even though he wasn't in the original team. He was added a little bit later. He's had, I think, more colored costumes than any other Ranger out. He's an amazing he was an amazing martial artist. And we're sad to see him go. He's one of the major losses from 2022. And we have, we talked about tons of things in video games in 2022, didn't we, Lurch?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there was a lot of things. One of the big ones was Elden Ring, which is made by a developer, FromSoft, which is normally known as kind of making really high quality but sort of niche games. Managed to win Game of the Year. I haven't personally played it, but it's apparently almost everyone who plays it says it's an incredible, an incredible game. They took their kind of formula of having these really difficult battles, bosses, and these like dark atmospheres, and expand it into a massive open world environment instead of a smaller scope. And it's paid off for them, winning them Game of the Year and tons of recognition, and their most successful game they've ever made. We talked about how Xbox didn't release a single AAA first-party title all year.
We started the boycott on Blizzard.
Yeah, we started the boycott on Activision Blizzard. Sony has sold over 30 million PS5s, and they also announced PlayStation VR 2, which they had some new news on that just recently, which I thought about making it as a topic, but then I didn't think we'd have time to talk about it. But PlayStation just revealed a new accessibility controller in the last couple of weeks, so that people who have disabilities have more access to be able to play PS5 games. There's all kinds of big things. I'm trying to think of what else.
So it's like, what market have we not tapped into? People who only have one hand.
Yeah. I mean, they've been meeting to get into this for a while. Xbox beat them to the punch by like 5 years. Like years ago, Xbox put out an accessibility controller. It's disappointing that Nintendo still hasn't, and Sony just now did reveal it anyway. I don't know how much it's going to cost. It looks interesting. I'm curious how it'll function, but it's very customizable. Man, I'm trying to think any like more broad things. We finally got Shredder's Revenge, a new Ninja Turtles game that's freaking awesome.
Right.
We learned that approximately 15% of Xbox console owners are subscribed to Game Pass, and as Xbox units sell, the percentage of them that are subscribing to Game Pass has been staying the same percentage-wise. But Microsoft is having huge leaps in PC Game Pass subscriptions recently, so that's kind of where they've been kind of focusing some of their marketing attention because of it being much more, a much better reach. We already talked about Steam Deck kind of revolutionizing handheld gaming in a lot of ways, and making the Steam environment more accessible to console gamers like myself. I'm trying to think of more things. We got an announcement for Death Stranding 2, which is a big excitement for me because I love that game. They kind of teased us a little bit with a new machine that kind of resembles a Metal Gear X. Gosh, there's a lot that can happen in a year, and I'm trying to keep track of what was in 2022 and what wasn't.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
In Dungeons and Dragons news in 2022, we had finally the release of Spelljammer and Dragonlance support, which I know.
So Dragonlance was fucking amazing. I read through the book. I wish that we could. I mean, gosh, if we were to play, and I really do need to go on a small tangent about it because I really haven't talked about it at all since I put my hands on it. This would have been Lurch's jam. This is high magic, not just high fantasy, high magic. This is all about using magic as powerful as possible, just balls to the wall. Lurch would have loved it if we were in that setting. The Spelljammers I was super excited about and pretty disappointed in.
Oh no.
What happened?
I said, oh no, you're disappointed in it?
Yeah, so Spelljammers adds a lot, and it's great, but the thing that really does disappoint me is when Spelljammers, or when you have ship-to-ship combat, you just board another ship and you attack them. There's no rules at all for attacking a ship at long range. There's no rules for space travel. You just go to a place. There's no rules for in-combat space travel. It's less than a skeleton.
Right. They haven't really gone into the details of the phlogiston and all of the interstellar.
Phlogiston isn't. Well, no, they do go into details with phlogiston. That is a thing that they do go into.
But they don't go into the ship combat and stuff in the but they don't go into the ship-to-ship interaction in the phlogiston.
Yeah. They do go into phlogiston, as in when you use anything magically fire-related. Like if you use Fireball, it detonates on you.
Right.
It doesn't travel.
Wait, what? Fireball?
Yeah. In the astral sea, you're surrounded by phlogiston. Phlogiston is like the matter in between space, and it is extremely flammable.
It's magic. It's
Extremely
volatile.
flammable.
It's volatile magic, basically.
Yeah. So if you use fire magic in it, or any kind of fire, a candle, a whatever, if it touches phlogiston, it'll cause a large explosion.
God, that sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just like one thing you have to avoid.
It's like traveling through a methane cloud. I mean.
Yeah.
But
they do go into that, but they don't go into ship-to-ship combat. It's just you board another ship and then attack a whole bunch of people on that deck. And it was so bare bones. Like the books were so thin. It just, man, it was. I would have really liked, and it's fine. I can go because of the OGL as written. There's enough space combat that was written for 5e that I could just go grab third-party material. I can't claim that for one D&D company.
Right. In fact, that's something that might be interesting as somebody with some old school experience in the original Spelljammers, like, well, myself, might go in and start writing a 5th edition third-party manual and Kickstarter or something like that.
Well, more power to you to do that as well. People have, which is why I was saying, like, because of the license, I can go do that to supplement it. It just sucks that I paid money for a product that didn't even have space travel.
Right. Then, to be fair, original old school Spelljammers was not as much about the space travel as that was just the method to get between the different spheres. They talked about, the races in the Phlogiston and the GIF and stuff, but and they did detail the ship, but ship-to-ship combat wasn't a huge part of the original Spelljammer set. It was part of it, but it was more part of it than the modern version. But it wasn't the main focus. It was more of a method to get between places.
In the original Spelljammers, as I understood it, and all I did was read a PDF to see what the differences were. Space travel was like a big deal. It was marketed as Wizards in Space, and space travel was and space combat was a focus of the module that was introduced.
The module definitely focused on it, yes. The module.
But that's the expectation. The module of Spelljammers originally was about space travel, and this is a new module of Spelljammers, and it's not about space travel. It's about space docking. It's about no rules whatsoever to determine how fast your ship needs to go, how to maneuver it in space, what maneuverings can happen, what does space combat look like. All of that is expected to be made up on the spot by a DM with no rules or considerations given.
Yeah.
And that was such a huge. They essentially told you, here's how docking works, and then you just fight each other on decks of other people's ships, and that's it. And that is just such a sad thing for Spelljammers. I was very disappointed.
In a way, it's because they kept with the thing about D&D that brought it away from chainmail and other war games back when D&D came out, was that the focus was supposed to be more on the individual characters as opposed to group military tactics, which ship-to-ship battle is a naval version of that.
I want to say that in this instance, it negates what the book was about and for, and what the market was. already have, if you just want to say, boom, like a DM could just say, boom, you're in a new plane now, you were on a ship, now you're no longer on a ship, and like you didn't need to buy an entire module for that. Spelljammers was completely and supposed to be a system to help you travel through space, be a pirate, stop pirates, travel to different spheres. That that's the whole thing. That's how it was marketed, and it just failed.
Well, they did the same thing when they came out with some of the stuff with the actual nautical elements of D&D. They did not go into the details of ship-to-ship travel there or ship-to-ship combat even in the nautical version. They said, okay.
They haven't. I can't speak on that because of 5e. It doesn't have like that level of like stuff. In the Adventurer's Guide to Sword Coast, they do have nautical combat rules,
but they didn't go into very much detail about it.
I mean, I felt like I got a gist of like how it should work. And that's kind of like my thought too, is like I could just use that for like space travel, but ultimately the issue is it was an incomplete product.
Right.
It clearly had a mission, and it failed in that mission to deliver what it was that customers wanted from the product that the product previously delivered.
Yeah. On the other hand,
saying that they're
go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say no, go ahead. What were you
But on the other hand, as we were saying before, Dragonlance was a great success, and they did really good on the introduction of Dragonlance.
I love the setting. I read the whole book.
Because if you want to do a truly high magic campaign, Kryn is high magic.
Well, I happen to like. So Dragonlance was my introduction to D&D without realizing I was introduced to D&D. In a library at school, I read a lot of the Dragonlance novels. I had no idea it was a D&D thing.
Yeah, Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman's world is, I mean, we look at D&D from the original setting standpoint. Greyhawk was the first setting for D&D, really, and it's magic, but not super high magic. Then you got Forgotten Realms, which is higher magic, but also has some elements of things like black powder and things like that. But it's still got a level of magic. And then you went to Kryn and Dragonlance, and magic was everywhere.
I am ashamed to admit that it has taken me up until a year ago to even know that Dragonlance was a Dungeons and Dragons property.
Yeah.
Whenever I was like 9, 10, 11, I was reading it in school. And it wouldn't be until I was like 15 or 16 years old that I would read R.A. Salvatore's Forgotten Realms books. Because I bought a whole bunch of them in a box at a garage sale. And, so I read those. And neither of those, I had no idea were even Dungeons and Dragons properties.
Right.
None whatsoever. I only figured out those were Dungeons and Dragons property because the word drow appeared in the Dungeons and Dragons thing, and I was I was playing a dark elf in one of the Elden Ring games, Elder Scrolls game.
Elder Scrolls, right?
I think it was Oblivion, or whatever. I think it was Oblivion. And I was playing the dark elf, and someone on a forum, whenever I was like googling how to do some weird shenanigans, mentioned the dark elves as drow, and I was like, drow, I've heard that name before, and I googled it, and it's just dragons. So I was like, wait a second, that's the book, Forgotten Realms. Oh, that's a part of Dungeons and Dragons. It was the very first time I ever heard. But Dragonlance, I didn't know until like a year ago that was Dungeons and Dragons property, and that shaped how I saw high fantasy in my young years. Like before I ever saw Lord of the Rings, those books was how I viewed high fantasy.
Oh God, I saw someone make a hot take on Twitter, I think, calling Lord of the Rings as mid fantasy. Boy,
wow.
Oh boy, was quite the argument to scroll through.
But yeah,
I mean,
it's funny because
it's high fantasy. It's just mid magic.
right.
Yeah, Dragonlance is high magic, high fantasy. It goes balls to the wall with power, man.
Yeah.
That sounds really cool.
We have a new person in there, Majestic Priestess, in chat, who says that you're starting to show your age, Angel, by your comments. I had to point out that you're actually relatively young compared to me. I'm the old fogey here. You want to talk about age? It's Allie.
Yeah, it's Squirrel.
That's Squirrel. I didn't realize that Majestic.
I was like, I remember Majestic Priestess. Where did I hear that name before?
I've never seen that name before.
Yeah. Yeah, I played D&D in a very loose thing. Yeah, 2010 is whenever I played it. So, yeah, I've been exposed to it, I guess, like my largest part of my life without knowing it.
Right.
So,
well, the books were a tangential way for a lot of people to get into it. The Greyhawk books were written, of course, by Gary Gygax and Dave Arneson initially, and then Ed Greenwood introduced the Forgotten Realms, and then brought in Robert Salvatore, who made it explode. Forgotten Realms exploded when Salvatore came on the scene. Troy Denley wrote the Dark Sun books, a lot of them.
Yeah, Greyhawk used to be the setting.
Mm-hmm.
That was the default setting for D&D, and then after R.A. Salvatore took a crack at it, Forgotten Realms slowly and steadily became like the primary setting.
Yeah, Ed Greenwood may have developed Forgotten Realms, but Salvatore put it on the map.
I mean, do we even have a Greyhawk official 5e book published? I don't think we do.
A Greyhawk book? No, there isn't.
Yeah, I don't think we have a Greyhawk setting at all in 5e.
No, it's just it's considered, if you play in generic, you're either in Forgotten Realms or Greyhawk, but they're not like, there's no real heavy Greyhawk. I think there's a Greyhawk Gazetteer out there.
We have Eberron.
There's a Greyhawk Gazetteer.
We have Eberron. We have Dragon. We have Eberron, and we have Dragonlance, and we have Ravnica. And I think those are the only settings. Oh, and Taldore. And I think those are the only settings in 5e that they've released for. Now that I'm thinking about it, that's
they got the Magic the Gathering one too.
Yeah, that's Ravnica. Yeah.
Oh, there's a couple other ones for them, but yeah.
No, Strixhaven is in Ravnica. So oh yeah, you're right. There's also Theros as well. So that's the third Magic the Gathering property. But Theros and Ravnica are the two settings that they've released for as well for Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, because they had that one that starts with TH, the Greek.
Yeah, Theros.
Yeah. So they have.
Yeah, so those are the two that they released.
Right.
For Magic the Gathering.
Right.
And so Ravnica, Theros, we have Dragonlance setting.
Eberron.
We have Forgotten Realms, and we have Taldore.
Yeah. We have Eberron.
I don't think they. Yeah. Oh, yeah, in Eberron. So 6 settings, and none of them are Greyhawk. That's kind of strange, considering how prominent Greyhawk is.
They started moving away from having an established Greyhawk setting back when Forgotten Realms really exploded in 2nd edition. So by the time of the 3rd edition, there wasn't a lot of direct support for Greyhawk after that. Greyhawk was considered the neutral setting. It didn't need own rules, so everybody's homebrew was kind of a version of Greyhawk after that. Greyhawk is just mid-level setting that Gygax originally played in. That was his playground.
It was the most, up until Everon, it was the most technologically advanced.
Right. But it was the most midline things. Magic was set at a 5 out of 10. Fantasy was 5 out of 10. Science was 5 out of 10. Everything was right in the middle line.
So that was mid fantasy.
It was the exact middle.
Yeah.
Was Greyhawk.
Yeah. It was very. Yeah. There wasn't. It was like sword and sorcery. You'd be lucky. You'd be lucky if you got off a cure wounds.
Yeah, very Conan the Barbarian-esque. Very Lord of the Rings was even a big influence on Greyhawk.
I don't consider one shots really me playing D&D.
Yeah.
But of the 2 one shots I didn't DM in, of the 3 one shots that I didn't DM in, 2 of them were Greyhawk settings, and you didn't want to play a magic user in those settings.
No.
You really didn't.
A lot of the focus when it went away from Vancian magic, kind of went away from Greyhawk, because Greyhawk was very much built around that whole cast it and forget it magic system, where you husbanded your magic resources tightly because you only had 2 or 3 of them for a day.
I mean, really, Greyhawk was a Lord of the Rings. If Lord of the Rings also had like electrical technology,
right?
Like technology that based on electrical power.
Like Squirrel says, it's the marriage between sci-fi and fantasy. Greyhawk was right there. Eberron is even more there because it's got, of course, the Warforged.
Eberron is very much a steampunk.
Yes, it's very steampunk. Keith Baker, who's an amazing person, was, of course, the developer of Eberron during the 3rd edition campaign design contest, where they were trying to make a new campaign setting. Keith actually visited Game twice, and we love him at Game. Me and Lurch both got to interact with him quite extensively. I was even his wrangler back in the day. But Eberron's not my favorite setting, but I will say he is one of my favorite.
I will say I am a huge fan of the aesthetic and like the retro futuristicness of it. Eberron is definitely a setting I wish I knew about before we like. I wouldn't say before because I liked the campaign we got going on. I think it's not really great. But the Eberron as a setting, Warforged, fucking amazing.
It's Squirrel's favorite
fucking
setting.
Amazing.
She's saying.
What's up?
Squirrel's saying that's her favorite setting.
It's amazing. It's amazing, like the technology, and they can still like manage to have like magic in it and stuff. Oh,
I played a campaign with Keith his first year at Game, and well, not a campaign, but a one shot with Keith DMing, and he just showed himself to be such an amazing DM. That even though it's not my favorite setting, I would play in it any day if Keith was running it.
Lurch, remember that Pathfinder game we played for several months?
Yeah.
I think that would have gone a lot better if it was in the Eberron setting.
Oh yeah. I'm not familiar other than that session or that game, that one campaign that was in Pathfinder. Is Pathfinder take place in a bunch of different settings, or is it just kind of one setting?
No, I'm not familiar enough with Pathfinder. Our game was entirely and explicitly homebrewed. All of the races were homebrewed. The world and universe was homebrewed. Nothing about it was legitimate.
Yeah. I will.
But to my knowledge, Pathfinder has the one world that they tout, and I think other people just make worlds around it.
Okay. Man, My favorite moment of that particular game was that time when we snuck into a military base, and I happened to come around the corner, and there was just a whole bunch of soldiers like standing, at attention, and a line from me. It was just a perfect lineup to hit them with a lightning bolt. I was like a level 4, or I was the first, whatever level you get lightning bolt at. I think it was level 5. And I dealt like 130 damage or something because of how many soldiers I hit in that line.
Wow.
I killed over half of them.
My favorite moment was stealing the glory from our tank user. Cody got really upset at me because he was trying to figure out a way how to get his tank inside of a building. But I just went into the building and shield bashed the guy, the door down and everything, because he really wanted to get it closed. I just did everything while he was trying to finagle his tank. Fuck that tank.
Yeah.
Fuck that tank.
Just to confirm, you Pathfinder's campaign setting is called Galorian.
Galorian?
Galorian is the actual official name. I looked it up while you guys were talking.
Yeah, we were not in that world.
But a lot of people, just like with D&D, they just do homebrew / steady neutral kind of game.
I think that's good. Maybe my next campaign, to give it a little bit of flavor, I might make it my own personal world. But we're going to be finishing this campaign first. Our goal for this current campaign is to go to level 20. I don't want to quit until we get there.
Nice. Have you had any more updates on that one shot you were working on that you were talking about?
With a lot of the stuff that I've been working on, since that happened, I've actually lost a pretty large contract. The time off that I was planning on taking was for that might have to be pushed back until I'm in a little bit more solid ground.
I understand.
I'm making enough money to exist, but we're definitely trying to find other methods of income.
I hear you.
So the one shot I wanted, and for anyone who didn't know, I do plan on running a one shot here locally. The target size is 6 players. In order to play this, I would like to get a one shot that I wanted to publish.
Right.
Now I'm double thinking it because of the whole OGL thing.
Right.
But we'll see.
Anyway,
I don't think yeah.
We're past 9 o'clock. We've got about 40 minutes left of the show. Let's talk about expectations and things going into 2023. This is our new year. We talked about some of the stuff going on with us personally, but what are we looking forward to in 2023 in the state of nerddom? I mean, obviously, new movies coming out, new movies that just came out. I recently watched Megan, but I think I'm the only one of the three of us that did. So we're not going to talk about Megan this week.
I weirdly don't have an interest to watch it.
It was phenomenal.
I've been seeing a lot of and I don't know if this is influencing me or whatever. And certainly anyone who watches it, this doesn't apply to you. It's just a personal thing. But I've been seeing a lot of strange comments about people's physical attractions to the obviously little girl robot, and that has made me not want to watch it.
I think the little girl robot, she pulls off creepy really well. I like the creepy factor. She has the she puts that forward very well. But it is a great movie. I do recommend it if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, it looks like a girl doll version of the most recent Chucky movie, which
which is AI.
could be great. It could be a good film. It's the kind of stuff I enjoy watching.
Lurch,
I
Ralphie loved it.
I thought about trying to watch it, but I couldn't fit it in my schedule. I did watch the new Avatar movie, Avatar: The Way of
I
Water.
haven't watched that yet. Ralphie loved it though.
I liked it quite a lot. And Squirrel liked it too. The two of us both liked it.
Well, no.
The first one was pretty good. The second one is really good.
No, what I was saying, Ralphie loved Megan.
Ralphie loved Megan.
Yeah,
okay.
He loved it.
And then something funny is it's been revealed that the next Avatar movie is supposed to introduce some a fire clan of Na'vi. And so as soon as I saw that headline, I had to share it with the joke saying, everything was fine until the fire Na'vi attacked.
There's also talk about Dwayne Johnson joining Avatar.
Dwayne Johnson's talking about joining it?
Possibly.
Man.
I mean, Dwayne Johnson tries to put his fingers in everything. Good for him.
Yeah.
I think he should try to make as much money as he can.
Well, and he's stepping back from DC because Black Adam didn't do as well as they thought.
Yeah, I don't think stepping down is the correct word. I really don't. I don't feel like that appropriately says what's currently happening to Dwayne Johnson.
Hey, Geekatard, welcome. It's always good to see you.
We already talked about it, so I don't feel like I need to rehash it. But that does seem like a really overly simplification of the matter.
Yeah. But back to what we were talking about, things upcoming. We've got.
I'm excited for the D&D movie.
The D&D movie is on the 31st. And I was going to mention, I'm not going to do a full talk about it, but Paramount Plus is now working on a live-action production D&D TV show.
Expect to see it in 2 years.
Yeah, it's going to be about 2 years.
Yeah.
But it's got some of the same people involved that were involved with the movie. Because, of course, Paramount is one of the producers of the movie. And the showrunner from Red Notice is actually supposed to be the showrunner for the TV series. So that looks good. Quantum Mania comes out next month.
Yeah, we just got a trailer for that yesterday. That shows MODOK, which was a surprise. Oh yeah, this morning.
Yeah, I haven't even.
Right, it was before I went to sleep that it dropped, and so it was yesterday to me. I was up working till 6 in the morning. It was
Quantum
nuts.
Mania is going to be insane.
And then I got woke up at 9:30 in the morning to work again. So my brain's a little frazzled.
Yeah.
But yeah, Quantum Mania looks freaking great. It looks like Kang and Ant-Man are making some kind of a deal.
Right.
And it goes sideways, as you would expect. From the trailer, we see that Scott is hoping to get those 5 years back that he lost with his daughter.
Right.
That's what he's wanting.
I said, I haven't had a chance to see that trailer yet. I'll probably watch it as soon as we get done here tonight.
See, here's the thing I don't like about that is his daughter seems to love him and be excited to be a part of his life, and that doesn't seem to be enough for him. So, but honestly, if I was Scott Lang, I would be happy with what the time did to him because that means he can live longer with his daughter.
Yeah, but I don't know. If you miss out on 5 years of your daughter growing up, I could see that being a tough pill to swallow.
But anyway, it looks to be an amazing offering as far as movies coming in. I think they said something in one of the recent posts too that there's only supposed to be 3 new Marvel-based Disney Plus shows this year. And that's what Loki season 2, What If, and one more. I think. Don't remember what the other one is, but yeah. So there's some more stuff there. They're talking about possibly slipping some new special presentations in, though. We don't know yet what they're going to be, but it's going to be really interesting to see what other offerings hit that special presentation sweet spot. Speaking of highlights from last year, Werewolf by Night was a highlight. I gotta say.
Yeah, Werewolf by Night was great.
So good.
The Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special was delayed as well.
Both of them were great.
Speaking of Guardians of the Galaxy and James Gunn, I saw a tweet from James Gunn talking about his workday. He's like, I got up this morning to approve and deny a few ideas for DC movies, then went and did some editing on Guardians, and then went and did some script writing for a new HBO DC series, and then met with some of the actors for, some of the crew for Guardians of the Galaxy for this and some promotion on that. I was like, look, like he had like a 14-hour day working for both Marvel and DC at the same time.
Trying to balance both franchises at once is hard, especially with him taking such a lead role in DC now.
Yeah.
That's the man who's a glutton for punishment.
Yeah. Something I'm kind of excited for. I need to go back and play the rest of the games. I played only the first Gears of War game, and I really enjoyed it. I don't know why I never got around to playing the other games. But they've announced a movie, or maybe it was a TV show. I forget which it is. And
I think it was a TV show.
And either or, Dave Bautista, Drax the Destroyer, wants to be in that movie so much that he got like a professionally made suit made from the game and then filmed a short.
I saw that.
He had a short made of him playing a character in the game. He's like, I can't make this any easier on you. Put me in the movie.
Put me in.
He was our dream. He was our dream candidate.
He's like,
so I hope it pays off. Pursue your dreams. I think he's a good fit for the role. He looks the part, and he's a great actor. Something I love about Dave Bautista is I've noticed he is trying to do different kinds of roles. Like I love Dwayne Johnson. Don't get me wrong. I love Dwayne Johnson, but he plays the same character almost every movie. Dave Bautista is playing very different characters each time, and he's really trying to flex those acting muscles.
My favorite Dave.
He's trying to move away from Drax because he feels like it's typecasting him.
As much as I like,
and I kind of agree.
As much as I like Drax, my favorite Batista role has got to be that zombie movie he was in. That
Army of the Dead or something.
Army of the Dead.
I haven't seen it, but I heard it's good.
The Zack Snyder one. Yeah, that was amazing. You really have to watch it.
I know I've seen Dave Bautista in other movies, but I can't think of him in such a memorable role as Drax that I remember when he
was in the new Knives Out movie, The Glass Onion.
Oh yeah, I need to see those. I haven't seen them. There's two of them now.
Yeah, the second one.
The first one looked good, and I'm trying to avoid spoilers on them because those look like the kinds of movies you don't want to see spoilers for. But they look pretty great.
They're both good. They're both well worth it. I will say that. Allison loved them. And there you go. The Glass Onion was another 2022 highlight, as was the Kingsman movie.
Was the Kingsman in 2022?
The last one was, I believe.
Yeah.
We've had so many things going on, and so much to look forward to still for 2023. We don't know hardly anything at all yet about what James Gunn and Safran's new DC universe is going to look like, but that's coming into 2023 with the last vestiges of the current DCEU.
So that reminds me, I saw a news article the other day that some of the high-level WB executives are trying to fight to keep Ezra Miller as the Flash.
Why?
Well,
I don't know. They really like him.
Test screenings of the movie is supposed to have been if anything, more popular than the Spider-Man No Way Home.
Oh, shit. I can't.
I know.
I don't know if I can
That's-
imagine any DC movies more
I
popular
know,
than
but
that.
the test
I mean,
screenings seem to have been more well received, and I don't know.
Yeah, it'll never get to that point.
Yeah, I don't see that.
Sorry.
I don't see that, but supposedly
That's
it's having
wishful thinking.
gangbusters test
I mean,
screenings.
maybe because of Michael Keaton.
Yeah, Michael Keaton brings a lot to a movie.
I still don't see
Michael
it, but maybe.
But it's got to be some
Michael
amazing
Keaton,
writing.
Michael Keaton has never, ever brought that kind of life to a movie. Even when he was directly involved in a Marvel movie, people didn't go watch that Marvel movie because Michael Keaton was in it.
He was true.
But
I mean, he was in No Way Home.
That's what I mean. I was like, yeah.
He was Batman.
Arguably the worst. Arguably the worst part.
he brought a lot
like
of
the
people
most
to Batman. He did.
He's one of the most popular Batmans.
He was.
He's the most requested old man Bruce Wayne, and so
I don't know.
I'm confident there's like millions of people that would watch the Flash movie just to see old man Batman Michael Keaton.
You also have to wonder because the different people that watch these test screenings, it's just like critics. You don't always agree with them. Just because a critic likes it doesn't mean that it's going to be good. Just because a test screener likes it doesn't mean it's going to be good. But right now, its scores and test screenings is supposed to be some of the highest they've seen. So who knows?
That could also be publicity speak as well. Something we have to keep in mind with DC's history is sometimes they'll do those test screenings. They'll have a movie that gets like a standing ovation and people absolutely adore it, but then they cut 30 minutes out of the movie before they release it to the public. So the test screenings will be the full movie, and then what they put out to the public cuts out everything.
Yeah. The other thing you got to think is they believe so much in this Flash movie that they're going to do a trailer at the Super Bowl, which they haven't done in like 17 years.
I mean, there's a reason for that. Super Bowl has been getting record low views.
But it still costs more to do a spot at the Super Bowl than in any other time in the year. The Super Bowl 30-second spot costs upwards of $15 or so million for that spot.
The price to do it has also gone down because of the lack of viewership.
Yeah.
Well,
how it goes.
Because nowadays you could take, within an hour or so of the Super Bowl, it's on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason that it's gone down because there used to be people watch the Super Bowl just for the commercials.
I was going to say, it's kind of funny how that was kind of a self-serving circle jerk because there's people who would watch the Super Bowl because they wanted to watch the commercials because they had the best commercials. But it got the best commercials because so many people watched the Super Bowl, and it was just kind of ballooned itself.
It did. It was.
So I mean, at this point, any trailer that you put out is going to get more viewership online than it would at the Super Bowl because you can't share shit at the Super Bowl.
Right.
No, but if it's a big hit, I mean, a lot of them, people are going to watch on YouTube because it was on the Super Bowl. If that makes any sense?
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people, the day after the Super Bowl, they'll go on YouTube and Google search best ads from Super Bowl 2021 or whatever. And then that inflates their viewership.
Year-round, that's one of the most searched things on YouTube is the best Super Bowl ads of the year. They're always... there's people
listen, I'm not saying that... Listen. I'm not saying that that's not true. I'm saying that... Or that was true. I'm saying that the dynamic is evolving and shifting away from people watching sports as the best method of watching it.
Well, that's because
I think the main reason people are watching less sports is because we got better television than we used to have.
Well, and the dynamic is switching away from the broadcast networks anyway. It's shifting to streaming.
Like there was a time where Seinfeld was the #1 TV show in the world.
Cable is dying, and sports is largely a cable thing.
Yep.
So cable is dying. Not only that, but sports is becoming less monetized because the inherent bodily injury is becoming much more apparent. The average person, like the average millennial, not even Gen Z, the millennials stopped watching.
Yes, we're moving away from sports and more towards esports actually, and live feeds of things like Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering tournaments and stuff. People are more into watching Twitch and YouTube and Discord broadcasts and Facebook Live than even watching some of the streaming services, because that's the new thing. People feel like they're more involved now with that as their what used to be sports.
Yeah. I can't remember what it was, but I think in 2022 we had a headline, or maybe 2021. I think it was 2022. I think there was a news headline about, for the first time in like 30 years, a different broadcast had a higher viewership than the Super Bowl. Like where the Super Bowl only had the second highest viewership of the year. I don't remember what it was, but I think that happened in 2022.
Yeah.
For the first time in decades.
It's getting to be to where, I mean, if you look at the numbers now on things like Twitch and YouTube, the viewerships there are going through the roof. Everybody's watching Twitch, YouTube, TikTok.
There are YouTube channels that are getting approached, like for instance, Game Theory.
A lot of them are getting put on other streams.
They're getting the Matthew Patrick recently made a video about getting approached by actual television cable network, and he turned them down because they didn't have the funds necessary to purchase them.
He makes enough on YouTube that it's like, no, that's not enough money. I'm making that much or more already on YouTube.
He wound up selling it to selling Game Theory to a third party, but that third party knew what to do with it and could afford it, and Game Theory is just such a juggernaut.
Yeah.
With viewerships that average more than anybody watches on television.
Yeah, as Squirrel says, we're changing what we watch because we want to actually be entertained. Sports are boring, and not to mention the NFL isn't caring about the players. That's the big thing. They're also not really caring about the audience.
When people would say the term sports ball as a derogatory term for people who enjoy sports. And that used to be kind of like a niche thing, oh, you don't like sports, you're kind of weird, and you're a minority. But now it's just oh, you calling someone sports ball? That's kind of punching down, isn't it?
Yeah. Right. Like you were saying about the people with the YouTube and the Twitch shows that are getting picked up, Netflix and Discovery and some of the other streaming services are actually airing things like that Hot Shots show where they just eat hot wings with celebrities. And it was a Twitch original broadcast. Alton Brown, who did Good Eats for Food Network and stuff, was doing his show during COVID all through on his Twitch channel and YouTube channel. And it was getting more viewers than his Food Network show.
Did you see that Alton Brown came to Springfield recently, and he really liked the Hong Kong Inn cashew chicken?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he made a tweet or whatever about it. He made a post on his social medias about how he tried 3 different cashew chickens in Springfield and declared Hong Kong Inns to be the best of them because he'd heard about how it came from Springfield.
Squirrel is saying how Alton Brown is extremely entertaining, and I absolutely agree. He's one of my favorite food celebrities.
What? Cashew chicken came from Springfield?
Yeah.
Springfield is the home of cashew
I didn't know
chicken,
that.
just like
If you want to try,
I am not a native Springfieldian.
if you want to try the original cashew chicken, go to Leong's on Republic Road.
yeah, and it's terrible.
That's owned by the son of the creator of cashew chicken.
And it's terrible. I hate Springfield cashew chicken.
Really? I'm not a cashew chicken guy,
I hate
but
it. And I like Asian food. I just can't stand.
Yeah.
Now it's funny because
it doesn't sound like Asian food. It sounds like Springfield.
It is Springfield food.
Yeah. I mean, it was a Chinese guy that created it.
Yes, but he made it in Springfield.
It's chicken and cashews and brown gravy.
Yeah.
It's chicken, vegetable, cashews, and brown gravy is what it is over rice. It's funny because cashew chicken is like tikka masala. Tikka masala is not from India. Tikka masala was developed in London, England.
You ever see that video of this like French chef like on a talk show and he's making some kind of a meal and then there's a guy host and a woman host and the woman host is like they're eating and then the woman host is like, if this had ham in it, it'd be more like some other dish, right? And this French chef is like really offended. He's like, what the hell are you talking about? He's like, if my grandmother had wheels, she'd be more like a bike. The male host, who was like mid-bite, like mid-chew, like had to like put his hand over his mouth as he like ran to the side laughing as he about to spit his food out.
The cultural
don't offend a French chef. They'll burn you pretty good.
Culinary in the culinary world, there's a lot of dishes like that. Like, of course, we often think of what we think of pizza today is not the same as what the Italians made. It's very much. It's very much an American.
Yeah, they don't have tomato sauce.
It's very much American. Well, the original marinara sauce was made with a red bell pepper.
I read recently that the original hamburger wasn't served on any kind of a bread.
No, the hamburger steak came. The one that got the name hamburger from Hamburg, Germany, was just a hamburger steak. It was a hamburger patty that was served with vegetables on the side and a light gravy. We call that an old-fashioned now or a old-timer. But it's a hamburger steak.
You don't just call it a hamburger steak?
Yeah, or a Salisbury steak, which is very much similar. Salisbury specifically usually has a mushroom gravy, and there's a little bit of a filler in the hamburger, kind of like how you do the meatloaf. There's like breadcrumbs or oats.
Yeah, Salisbury was created in England.
Right. Salisbury steak is basically England's version of the hamburger. The hamburger steak that came out of Hamburg, Germany. Both of them are, they're just ground beef patties, usually served on plates. And later on, in America, we threw it on bread and they called it a hamburger and started doing it in mass market.
It's really funny. It's something that it was Christmas recently, so we recently watched all the Christmas movies as a family. All the old ones, the Clive ones, and they had like this stop motion animation ones, and I'll never ever forget anytime anyone talks about like Hamburg or like a burg of any kind, like Rodelsburg or whatever. That it's the last name of the town starts with a berg or ends with a berg. That means that it has a mayor, and that mayor's official title is Burgermeister.
Burgermeister.
Yes,
wow.
The actual name for a mayor is a Burgermeister.
Oh yeah, Burgermeister.
It's the master of the burg.
Because they run what's called a burg. A person who runs a burg is a burger.
So Hamburg's town would have been, or the mayor of Hamburg would have been Hamburgermeister Meisterburger.
Wow.
Or Hamburger Meister. Yeah.
So,
Then
Majestic Priestess Squirrel asked if there's any news on season 4 continuing of the show Titans.
I was just looking it
Yes.
up. I can't find anything yet.
Far as I've seen, we don't. We have 2023.
Yeah, that's all I can find too. I was
That's as narrow of a window as I can find.
while
is
you were
2023.
talking about the burger stuff, I was looking that up just to double check to see if we had any new updates. It's still just sometime in 2023.
They had a mid-season break that was like a month ago now, and we don't even have a date on when it's going to restart. And it was like on a freaking, I think it was on a climax, a cliffhanger. I mean,
You got the first 6 episodes. Now there's a break before the second 6 episodes.
yeah.
I'm not up to date on that. I'm about a season behind on Titans.
So
I stopped watching it. I need to get back into it, but I really need to.
Superboy is being a jerk. I said Superboy is being a bit of a jerk.
Is he a half clone of Lex and half clone of Superman?
Yep, and they're leaning into it.
Yeah. Anyway,
He just shaved his head and, starting to act a little bit more Lex-like recently.
Speaking of that,
he's like, you can't tell me what to do, Dad.
Speaking of that, we've got upcoming the new.
Well, neither of his dads are around. Superman's been off-world for the whole season. And Lex dies in episode 1.
Is this taking place in the Lois and Clark?
No.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
Titans is on. I don't remember what world number designation, but Titans.
It's its own separate world from all the other shows.
Titans is on one world. Doom Patrol's on one world. Stargirl's on one world.
Doom Patrol and Titans were on the same world.
Nope.
Even though Doom Patrol is a spin-off of Titans.
I thought so, but nope. They're different worlds.
They are different worlds.
It's a different Titans.
Yeah.
Even though it's the same actors for all but one role, it's actually a different group of the Titans. It's an alternate universe of the Titans.
Doom Patrol
not the Titans,
is a spin-off of the Titans, but on a different world. Doom Patrol is on World 21, I believe.
Yeah, I was wrong. This is something that me and Squirrel argued about not too long ago, and she proved to be correct.
Yes.
She pointed me out. I was wrong on that one.
Titans are World 16, I think it is.
I thought they were the same universe until Squirrel pointed it out.
That's because they originally was supposed to be a spin-off and stuff, because remember Beast Boy was introduced as part of the Doom Patrol. And then...
I mean, the Arrow TV show was supposed to be a spin-off of Smallville.
Yeah,
well, and speaking of those kind of things, February is supposed to bring us the last season of The Flash.
To make that more confusing, though, at least with Arrow, we knew it wasn't a spin-off when they had a whole different cast.
Right.
But for Doom Patrol, it's like 90% the same cast.
Right.
It's a different chief. And there's no Beast Boy, but it's otherwise the same cast. And their characters are very similar, but there are differences between that version of the Doom Patrol characters and the version of the Doom Patrol characters we have on Titans.
Well, in the one spin-off episode, you really only saw Robot Man and Negative Man. The rest you didn't really see much of.
I mean, you had them, you had the Chief, you had...
Yeah, but the Chief...
the
Elastigirl?
Yeah, the Elastigirl?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of her name. Rita.
Rita? I don't...
Yeah, Rita's her name.
In that episode, though.
She had a whole thing where she was like... She joined them late for dinner, and she had more food to herself than the whole rest of the table combined and tripled.
That's right, because of the fact that her weird mutation gives her this massive metabolism.
Yeah, and something I noticed whenever I went back and rewatched that episode, that version of the Doom Patrol characters were a lot friendlier. They weren't the friendliest, but they were much, much friendlier than the ones we have in the Doom Patrol.
Right.
Like, they were cordial, and they, like, served them dinner, and even though Robot Man kind of, like, cussed a lot of people, they generally were much nicer to people than the ones we see on Doom Patrol, where they're all very flippant and crass and don't give a shit. They're like, what the fuck are you doing in our house?
Well,
and it just kind of storm away.
They've got a heck of a cast for Doom Patrol when you figure the chief is Timothy Dalton. You've got Brendan Fraser as Robot Man, and you got Matt Bomer as Negative Man. They've got a bit of a cast. I mean, they pulled a lot of stops for that. You know,
don't forget Alan Tudyk is the Negative Man. He was a delight.
Alan Thicke.
He was, yeah.
Well, but Matt Bomer is
one of my personal heroes.
Of the Negative Man.
Alan Tudyk was.
Alan
okay.
Tudyk was.
Hang on. Not. I'm sorry. Not Negative Man. I meant Mr. Nobody.
Mr. Nobody.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. I know who you meant.
You mean Alan Tudyk?
Yeah, Alan.
Yeah.
Alan Tudyk was Alan Tudyk was the mocap character for Mr. Nobody too.
Yeah, and it was great. So yeah, they've got a cast going on there. As Allie says, she was chewing down on, and Raven was comforting her when she got nervous and melted her face. Yeah, Negative Man.
Man, this is,
yeah, Matt Bomer. A lot of people like him.
We're narrowing to the end of the episode, and I just want to kind of reflect on where I want the personally. Man, for my favorite thing currently, which is D&D.
Right.
The thing that I've been all about. I want to see Wizards of the Coast make changes that benefit the community, and I really hope that the D&D movie does really well. Because we need more angry fans.
That movie is going to be lit, I think, and I'm hoping, like a couple of people have said, the delay of the movie, because originally it was supposed to come out on March 3rd and then it got moved to the 31st, was at least a reflection of a standard D&D game, because you almost never get it on schedule. You have to push it up and change it and stuff. So that actually fits the type.
So I'm not against it, but I've been seeing these conspiracy theories where it's movies don't really need to make the audience wait. They do it for the click factor because they get clout for being good movie creators, and I'm like, that's just so fucking stupid.
Movies.
What are you talking about?
Movies change for a lot.
Hold on. There is a conspiracy theory right now that I was watching on Reddit on D&D stuff. I first saw it on D&D, but I saw it on other places too later. Some people are accusing movie producers of falsely moving back a movie, not because they need to, but because they'll get clout. Because every time a movie producer does that, everyone's like, oh, they care about us enough to make us wait. And that's the current conspiracy theory. That doesn't make any sense to me. Why would you miss out on money faster?
Well, one of the
it seems like a really stupid fucking idea.
There's also a bigger target of there's also the problem of people going, oh, the movie got delayed. There must be problems with it.
Well,
yeah, you're right. And the theory in general is dumb.
Yeah, there's actually multiple
people are
reasons.
Seeing the trend. Yeah, we're seeing a trend. We're seeing a trend of movies being pushed back. And a lot of they're like there's got to be some sinister reason for it, and I think the sinister reason is they bit off more than they could chew and told us a number they weren't prepared to meet.
Sometimes, other times they also move it because of what other movies are coming around at the same time, because they want to adjust the market that they're going into. They don't want to be in, for instance, a lower budget company doesn't necessarily want to be in direct competition with like Quantumania. So
Sure.
they will move something so it doesn't come out the same weekend as Quantumania. They will bump it a month or bump it 3 weeks or something just to give them a
Yeah.
shot at the box office.
I saw a post recently where someone shared this thing as like a meme that someone had made that was like, it feels good when conspiracy theorists are repeatedly correct or whatever, and it was like conspiracy theories 37 versus 0 or whatever. The tally of being right was 37 times.
Speaking of,
and I was like, what conspiracy theories have you guys gotten right? I mean, I guess technically you got Pizzagate, except the details were a little off. It's supposed to be Hillary Clinton, and instead it was this weird right-wing, alpha douchebag dude bro guy.
anyway,
Andrew Tate.
on the subject of movies and stuff too, the showrunner for the Daredevil TV series on Netflix, the showrunner was recently tweeting about a call to action for maybe the guild, the Screen Actors Guild and everything, to put penalties, financial penalties on production companies for canceling movies after they're completely made because it's happening so much. And they're trying to get penalties there because all these people, the cast and crew and everything, are working on movies. And then after the movie's in the can, done, they're getting canceled so much lately. And, they're doing it for tax purposes and stuff. But
what about the people that worked on the movie whose part of their pay is based on the box office?
Right, exactly. So this showrunner, I can't remember his name, went to Twitter and is calling for them to try to instill some penalties to help compensate those people and have them enforced by the guild, the Screen Actors Guild and stuff, to actually get behind them in that, because all these people that are going in that are members of the SAG are ending up getting screwed because there's a big part of most contracts nowadays that are points on the box office. And if they don't make it to the box office, they're basically getting nothing but the hourly that they made while they were working. And that's usually not nearly the compensation that these cameramen and stuntmen and caterers and all these other people that work on these production things.
I do kind of want to let you guys know I'm going to be reaching destination in about 6 minutes. Whenever I do, I'll have to get off because
we're about done anyway. So the show is about over. As it says, it was a very climactic 2022. There was so much going on, and we're just looking forward to a phenomenal 2023. Let's all think positive. Let's think all the new great things that are up and coming that we're really looking forward to. Let's say goodbye to Angel, because Angel's about to hit his destination, and we will see him next week. Same bad time.
I would like to say the beginning of this year. Hope for the best, but expect the worst.
That's kind of that's the rule of thumb for anything. It's always hope for the best, expect the worst. Because if you get there somewhere,
I think it's better to be hope for the best, be prepared for the worst.
That's it. Yeah.
That's a better statement.
For the worst. And
I feel expecting the worst is too negative. I feel like the idea of expecting the worst is making joy the most feared emotion, and we can't. It's hard to live a life where you don't let yourself experience joy because you're always expecting the worst. So just be prepared for the worst while hoping for the best.
Yeah, and remember, no battle plan lasts beyond the first engagement anyway. So
yeah, and then if things are going down, a phrase I recently saw from Tom Hanks that was pretty great was the phrase "This too shall pass."
That's right. All right, guys. We're going to call it quits for this first inaugural episode of 2023 of Game Time. We'll see everybody next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Remember to play more games, watch more movies, have more fun. Make sure that life isn't just about making a paycheck. Remember our nerdy hobbies and pastimes have real value, real education behind them, and we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.